Hello and warm greetings. My name is J.A.Bwesigye. I'm an advocate of the High Court of Uganda, and I'm also a public policy enthusiast. I'm that guy that truly cherishes the manner in which our government machinery operates, the quality of human rights that we have in the country, and our adherence to the rule of law and constitutional fidelity. I'm that guy. I'm interested in these notions that I have talked about. And that's not important. But the most important thing this morning is that on 9th, just a few days, Uganda shall celebrate its 62nd Independence Day. And this morning I have quite a number of questions than answers. And the first question is whether as a country we have really done much better under the leadership of Africans than the situation was when we were still under the colonial masters. History is an elusive doctrine. It is only told by those who have emerged victorious. And it's in fact their side of the story that guides discourse. And those that have successfully taken over the remains of power from the colonial masters have required us to think and to believe that indeed the colonial masters were bad masters and they violated our rights, they abused the power, and indeed they were not having the best interests of the people of Uganda at heart. But in law, there is also a notion of res ipsa loquitur, that facts speak for themselves. When you look at our state of infrastructure, you realize that under the colonial masters, Uganda was able to develop its sound infrastructures. The railway line was robust, right from Malaba to Kasese. The same line was connected to northern Uganda, cutting across Soroti, Gulu, Moroto, and quite a number of places. A number of hospitals were constructed. The administrative machinery was strengthened and firmly established. The judicial system was put in place. And you would think ordinarily that these people indeed were focusing on something that was more than their personal interests. Yes, there are narratives that these were only meant to siphon raw materials from Uganda to the West, but be it as it may, you cannot desist from the fact that these infrastructures truly helped the people of Uganda on various fronts. What's happening today? While these Europeans developed infrastructures, as already mentioned, the Ugandan governments have since been building on that particular footing to do the same. Quite a number of roads have been developed, but at a huge cost. Great loans have been acquired, and our country has been mortgaged to China, to the World Bank, and the International Monetary Fund. We have loans that we have to pay for the next 10, 20, 30, and 50 years. Some of these loans have surely been poorly negotiated. You look at an agreement and you feel sorry for the generations to come. The terms of the agreement are really appalling. largely in favor of the founders and leaving the generations to come at a great stake. And that's about the infrastructure. And you ask yourself then, if we pay taxes and we have to develop all infrastructures by obtaining loans, for what purpose do these taxes serve? That's question number one. Question number two concerns the rule of law. I am a lawyer and a practitioner, but also a public policy researcher, and good at that. Clearly, without doubt, we have laws that serve the interests of the rich against the poor. We have a legal framework that can only be applied to tame and restrain the poor. Legal frameworks like the Public Order Management Act and Money Laundering Act. These are laws that are meant to curtail and control the ordinary citizens. If you look at the General Court Martial, so you have a section of military officers committing offenses that could in fact qualify them to be subjected to the court martial. And because there is a legal framework that only concerns the rich against the poor, the general court martial is not their place. We have another legal framework that is meant to restrain the poor from enjoying their basic rights, like the freedom of expression, freedom of association, political participation. The Public Order Management Act falls under that category. So when the ordinary citizens come up to ask for their basic rights, they are bundled up and thrown into the general court martial. And you ask yourself, how come that the people that were in fact supposed to be subjected to the general court martial are not being subjected as expected, but the ordinary people who in fact are innocent are being pushed into the general court martial? That's not different from the notion of divide and rule that was reflected in the colonial era. Look at the quality of the leadership that we have as a country. One particular gift that a leader can give to a country resides in the quality of the leaders that this head of state appoints to take up public offices. But look at the quality of the ministers that we have in the country. Look at the quality of the parliament and the parliamentarians that we have in the country. Look at the state of the national institutions, the judiciary, the military, the Uganda Police Force, the Inspectorate of Government, the Equal Opportunities Commission, the Uganda Human Rights Commission. Just look at them. They are a self-statement of the manner in which this country has been betrayed for the last 62 years. Look at the general welfare of the ordinary people of Uganda and the manner in which these people work very hard and diligently. They wake up every morning, walk into their farms, till them, plant and harvest. But the market is meant to benefit the rich against the poor. This is very much regrettable. This man in Mbarara who plants his matoke has got to sell the same at less than $2 a bunch. This young man who has procured a border and has started his business is unfairly taxed to the point of an impossibility for him to run the same business. Where do these taxes go? They are siphoned by our elected leaders. They are used to procure the most powerful vehicles. And this is how we have lost our soul as a nation. What must we do? Our duty is not to celebrate independence, but to question our leaders. To question the manner in which public policies are made. To question the manner in which public policies are implemented. That level of impartiality in the implementation of public policies, where we have clearly identified the most favored children in this country and the most unfavored children in our land, shall not lead us to prosperity. The duty to do this lies not with the government, but with the ordinary citizens of Uganda. To rise in great numbers, to say no where possible, and in a peaceful and acceptable manner. For God and my country.